Right, thank you so much for staying with us. Time now for To The Point. And like I told you, our explainer today is on TikTok usage and regulations, okay? So let's take a look at the usage of TikTok. So TikTok is the fastest growing app on social media. Globally, it has 44% users that are active, those that are engaged on the platform, and its popularity is particularly prominent among the 18 to 24 age group. Now, this is according to the Reuters Institute Digital News Report of 2023. Let's take a look still on its usage here in Kenya for starters. Let's take a look at some of the countries, and this will interest you because Kenya is the global leader in TikTok usage. Again, this is according to the Reuters Institute Digital News Report of 2023. Now, the East African nation accounts for 54% of TikTok usage worldwide. That's for various purposes. 29% rely on it for news consumption. And Thailand comes in second, okay? Because 51% of its population engage for various purposes, while 30% rely on it for news consumption. And then we come back to the African continent, the third on the list being South Africa, which holds the third spot. 50% engage for general content, while 22% use it as a source of news. Our discussion today is on the ban for TikTok or the regulation for TikTok. So let's first take a look at countries that have issued a complete ban on the app. First up is Afghanistan. Now, the Taliban banned TikTok in Afghanistan in April 2022, saying that the platform's content was not consistent with Islamic laws. This is according to Bloomberg. Next is India, which in 2020, India implemented a nationwide ban on TikTok and 58 other Chinese apps for engaging in activities which is prejudicial to sovereignty and integrity of India, defense of India, security of state, and public order. And the last and latest is Somalia, which in August 2023 banned TikTok over concerns of terror-related content. Now, the government said terrorist groups are using the platforms like TikTok and Telegram to spread horrific images and misinformation to the public. Now, those are some of the countries that have issued a complete ban on TikTok, but others went for a partial ban. This means they have, for instance, banned the app from all federal government-owned devices, work phones of government officials, and so on. Some of them, Australia, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Netherlands, New Zealand, and Norway. All right, let's go back to the ban or remain on the ban and come back home to Kenya. So the Kenyan Parliament on August 15th received a petition from Mr. Bob Ndolo. He is the CEO of Bridget Connect Consultancy. He's with us in studio. We'll engage him. The Parliament received a petition to ban TikTok in Kenya, citing among other issues that the content that is being shared on the platform is inappropriate, thus promoting violence, explicit sexual content, hate speech, vulgar language, and offensive behavior, which is a serious threat to the cultural and religious views of Kenya. And we have him in studio tonight. Like I told you, he shall be telling us more about this petition. Lastly, there has been a development because President William Ruto has since met the app's CEO, that is Mr. Shu Zichu, and they came up, they had an agreement, which part of it is to reduce negative content on the social media platform and maximize on the monetization aspect. Now, the development to that, again, is that the two talked, like I mentioned earlier, and now TikTok will work together with Kenya to review and monitor content on the app. Shu committed to ensure content is moderate to fit community standards. He also agreed to set up a Kenyan office to coordinate its operations in the continent. And lastly, he pledged to hire more Kenyans to work for the platform. That should be good news, right? So that's all we had on To The Point tonight. Time now for our conversation again on TikTok. We're asking you whether it should be banned or regulated. Keep your feedback coming at TV47 News on Twitter, at TV47 Kenya on Facebook, and at Grace Kuria KE on Twitter, all right? So my guests are already with me in studio. Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen. Professor Ndungu Ikenya, he is a clinical psychologist and theologian. We have Mr. Bob Ndolo, the petitioner, CEO Bridget Connect Consultancy, and Mr. Mike Mushiri here. He is a TikToker and content creator. Once again, thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen. Bob, I am definitely going to start with you. Why do you want TikTok banned?
Basically, I presented a petition to the National Assembly. If I come back, I will tell you that I'm also in TikTok. So I've been going through the content that are coming within TikTok. Some content are very toxic, immoral, demeaning women, contents that kids cannot be allowed to watch. So that's the reason why we came up with a petition to ban TikTok. But basically what we wanted to do, we wanted to create a conversation, which is already going on.
Yes,
for us to be here, the conversation is going on. So it's not really that we really wanted to ban it. We wanted to create a conversation on how TikTok can be regulated.
So is it banning or regulating? Because the petition to Parliament is to ban TikTok.
The petition...
Wouldn't it have been easier to just have a petition on regulating the app?
I'm very sure if we had done a petition that we wanted to regulate TikTok, it would have not been presented into the National Assembly. So what we are talking about, by putting that we want to ban TikTok, we are now having a conversation and we'll come up with different ways on how it can be regulated. Yes.
All right, so that was a means of attracting the attention of Parliament and the nation at large, which you did. Okay.
And the conversation is on, and I'm very sure it's through our petition. That's why the CEO of TikTok, the global CEO of TikTok, reached to our president.
And even I was about to say that.
They've talked about regulations and all that.
But you're on TikTok.
I'm on TikTok.
Yes. Mike, you're a TikToker. When you had, I love that reaction.
No, it's because most of the times I refer to myself as a content creator.
Yes, actually, you're a TikToker and content creator. We are calling you that, Mike, we are. But for the purpose of this conversation, let's stick with TikTok,
Very valid.
Being a TikToker, and I'm sure you heard of that petition by Bob to Parliament to ban TikTok. I'm sure you're aware of the developments since President William Ruto broke his silence. Basically, what are your thoughts? What was your reaction first when you heard that there's a Kenyan who wants this app banned?
This was definitely a conversation that was that really caught my eye, because being a content creator, TikTok is one of my big platforms. Because basically, I'll just explain. Because when you tell someone you are a content creator, a full-time content creator, they take a while to grasp what you mean. So basically, I collaborate with brands to market their products and services on social media: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. And fortunately, I have been able to amass quite a following on TikTok. That's why I'm quite active on TikTok. And when I saw the conversation around banning of the app, it really caught my eye. Because, TikTok has become a platform that every client and I speak because I collaborate with brands.
It's a social
and
business
the brands,
for you.
Yeah, the brands are the ones whom I'm referring to as the clients. It's become one of the biggest platforms that clients are telling you to post their products or services when you give them a piece of content. So it's definitely a conversation that's even being held, I'm sure, in boardrooms among many brands. Because if this is a conversation that has really even gotten to the president himself, who has even traveled to the CEO of TikTok to have a conversation about it, I feel like it really is a conversation that should be held. Yeah, because the petition to regulate TikTok, it's very valid, but now to ban it entirely, I am not for it.
All right.
Yeah.
Prof, are you on TikTok?
Yes, I ended up doing that because you talked to me about it. And so I said, let me check on this. Because like any other pop culture media, TikTok has 4 functions. For me, it educates, it entertains, It also promotes interaction in the global village. It also has these components of it where there is now business on it. So you could see people advertising products. But finally, late last night, I stayed up. And somebody was asking me to pay 200 Kenya shillings for body parts exposure.
Yes.
And then now as a psychologist and also as a senior clergy person, I became very concerned. Because this may, as a psychologist, there is a problem of multiple addictions that are affecting our people. So one of my concerns is the addictive nature of the pop culture to media. I'm very concerned about that.
Right.
Number two, I am very concerned about the kind of content that comes anytime after 9. Immoral content, which I think, so when I'm talking about mental health,
Right.
I'm talking about not promoting health, but people who will sleep during the day and wake up during the night and do bad business of body parts. And it is not women only, it is both men and women.
You're right.
Also, what about our children? If we are going to protect our children, the question of parenting, which we have just finished research in Nakuru, and we are now talking about parenting and issues of our children, especially from standard 5 all the way to university and even to the population, general population.
Right.
You'll also need to consider, and I'm glad that these two gentlemen are arguing on this question, the question of the rights of people, especially this, my historical understanding of TikTok, it was a children's program. And therefore parents have been thinking this is now a children's program. It is not. What are the rights of the adults to express themselves and even form groups around TikTok? And yet we have these two issues, as I said.
Right.
The moral aspect of it and also protection of our children. And so I will agree with them on the point of regulation.
Right, Prof.
And I would even think some of the countries that are banning this, it's because it is not regulated.
Right.
So it can be banned. And I would argue for it to be banned.
Okay, okay, Prof. There are community guidelines, and we'll be talking about it later on, about that later on. But I want us to understand this petition by Mr. Bob better, because fine, we all seem to agree about the content, that explicit content on TikTok, which even I myself think is not right, but there is more to, in your petition, more reasons as to why you want this app banned or regulated, like you just said here. Take us through that.
Yeah, okay, when you look at it, I heard what Mike was talking about, that he's been creating content. I've watched him, I've been following him, and the content that he's creating is very good. And through that, he gets corporates to support him by advertising on TikTok. What if the same corporates, if they can see the content that Daktari is talking about at night, where someone is live and telling you, send me 200, send me 150, so that I can send you my private parts and all that. You see, that is content that you can't put together with corporates to advertise on the same platform. That is very dirty content.
Right.
And that's the reason why most of the corporates are pulling out. From the day we presented the petition, most of the corporates are shying off from TikTok. So what we need here is we sit down, we have a conversation. We want to talk to TikTokers here and tell them that we are not getting this thing out of them. What we need to do is to come with ways on how we can regulate. There are some contents that politically, hate speech, whereby, you know, our country, we are around 46 tribes, and during political, like during elections and all that, you get someone is live on TikTok and abusing a leader, and you're watching that. You see, that is also dividing our country. So those are the contents that we want, that we have to get away on how they can be regulated.
Right, Bob.
And for them to be regulated, TikTok has to partner with us. Because in Kenya, we are different ethnic communities. Like me, I'm a Luo, I go live and I start abusing someone, in my mother tongue. You know, TikTok cannot regulate that, We must have a company based in Nairobi that will be going through such kind of content. And if you're seeing that you're one person who keeps on using that, then TikTok can be recommended to ban you.
Right.
And those are the regulations that we're talking about.
Right, and I want us to dwell on that, because when we put out the question on whether this app should be banned or regulated, we got some comments from our viewers here, and I actually wrote one down because I really needed us to talk about it, because he was asking whether this is political. You're talking about hate speech, which again happens and should be regulated, but I'll read his comment and then I'll have you react to it.
Yes.
Because he says that is the end of TikTok. The TikTok guys will create special censors for the Kenyan market. If you think it's only negative content that will be removed, then you're wrong. Negative content includes speech that ridicules leaders and disrespects the country, So from what I get from this comment is it's taking a political turn, It's gonna sort of like curtail people's rights to expression. Is that what your petition intends to?
Basically, what I said, it's not, don't look at it on hate speech alone. Dr. has talked about kids, children.
But let's talk about this. Let's dwell on this.
About politics.
Yes, whether we're politicizing this whole thing.
It's not really, we're not politicizing the whole thing.
I also don't think it's political.
We just need to regulate TikTok. There are those who just go live, and they start abusing leaders, And when you look at it, we're also blaming our leaders. Because you get a leader talking badly, and that content, they never end up to other platforms but TikTok. I want to take you back. We have a body called Media Council of Kenya, which I know you subscribe to. I'm very sure you cannot screen such kind of, vulgar, political, abusive, and all that. So TikTok, which is an online app, what we are looking at, that's the reason why we took this matter to Parliament. We are looking at Parliament coming up with regulations, and we also want to create, social media, regulation board, or council. Once we have that, then we'll work with all these players. We'll set it up here, and the council will work with Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, which is X now, and Instagram. And we have another app which is also not good, that we call Telegram.
Telegram.
That is also a very...
had that on the...
Yes. So when we have a regulation body within Kenya, then it would be easier that the council now will be dealing with that.
Right.
So if you're one person who keeps on posting, vulgar, toxic, you want to show your body parts and all that, then you can be banned. Completely.
All right.
And that is the regulations we're talking about.
Mike, you seem to agree. It's not political.
I do agree that it's not political, and I'm so glad we had like an extensive prior conversation before the show. I and Mr. Bob and the rest of us who are in the waiting room. And I'll explain it from an influencer's perspective. a creator myself, when we speak from this perspective of banning TikTok, I think it will be such a hypocritical take. Because if we wanted to regulate consumption of content in Kenya, it would have begun like way back by banning porn sites. I mean, banning porn sites, banning Telegram, which is a platform that shares explicit content from way back, banning probably platforms like Twitter. Twitter is also another platform that needs regulation. So when we speak about banning it entirely, it would be a very hypocritical take, because we have to regulate also content on other social media platforms. Because I, as a creator, and even corporates who have taken advantage of TikTok as a platform to market their products and services, we will have gone at a loss. Because there are people who live off of entirely TikTok.
Yeah, that's true.
Because TikTok, the good thing with TikTok as a platform is that it cuts across all demographic, whether you're Kikuyu, Kalenjin, whether you're 12, 30, 60. I mean, there are pages on TikTok, Msiana Jita, Shosho wa TikTok.
There's content for everyone.
Yeah, there's content for everyone. You know, it's not, you can compare it to Instagram. Instagram is very lifestyle. Facebook is also very not for young people. So TikTok is not biased. You'll find people of whatsoever demographic on TikTok. So I think, and Mr. Bob shed light on like the whole petition, because even when we met, I was very nilikuja na energy ya kumwambia, why do you want to ban TikTok? You get, but he shed light on like the whole petition thing. What was his reaction?
Yeah, when you asked that?
I'm glad we interacted even before this conversation, and we actually do agree that TikTok as a platform in Kenya, it really needs to be massively regulated. It needs to be regulated. It needs to be regulated. And I was telling them, interestingly, TikTok began as a kids app. It was called Musical.ly. It began as a kids app until the adults now came in and started creating content. And I do not understand at which point Kenyans, especially Kenyan adults, like massively started using TikTok to a place where we became globally leading.
We're number one.
I was
a
shocked.
shocker.
I was
We're
shocked.
Number one.
I was shocked, and not even in Africa, globally. And I think that's why even banning TikTok should not be a conversation at all, because this would also be an opportunity for the government to seek ways on how to get revenue from TikTok. Because already it's an opportunity for the government to earn if TikTok is a platform that's globally, that we as Kenyans are the globally leading users on it.
Right. Prof, there are community guidelines, I did mention this earlier, for TikTok, which say you may not use the services to upload, transmit, distribute, store, or otherwise make available in any way, including for the purposes of creating or streaming content, any user content that is obscene or pornographic. That is the community guideline for TikTok, So does this mean someone somewhere is sleeping on their job? Because this, whatever they're saying should not be there, is what we're saying.
Yeah, but that is the issue. Kenya, let me talk about our pop culture in the Kenyan context. Kenyans like dirty stuff. They do. And so whatever you do here to control it, they will figure out. As I said, somebody figured out how to get me from just flashing myself, checking on TikTok, because Grace is talking about TikTok. And I want to see what is there. And so I tried that during the day, and I tried that during the night. And so people don't know how to keep rules. And it happens not only with the matatu driver and the traffic police. Even the election and post-election debates and even issues of maandamano, all those things tells you that the way we have taken media is not the four classic ways of using media. So we have this part of our culture, which I call neo-colonization. We are free, and yet we are not free. That's why even the president has to take the role of a parent to the nation. and say there is a problem here.
Right.
Because this country is not that this is a political issue. It's a question of values. What is right and what is wrong? What is good and what is not good? What is, you can imagine there was a whole depression, psychotic kind of TikTok process, which was live, and a young man killed himself.
Yeah.
That's where mental health issues must be discussed seriously as we talk about TikTok, because we are going to have these problems. And so we have to prevent before it occurs.
Right.
Prevention is better than cure.
True.
And for me, that is where I'm saying, if we have to ban it, we have to ban it because we cannot control it. If we are going to partially ban some things, there must be a controller.
Right, right. And gentlemen, we are running out of time. I'm told we have actually 3 minutes left.
Yeah.
So Bob, I'm going to get your closing remarks. Bob, I'll start with you because I want us to get solutions, yeah? Because again, part of what some of our viewers were saying is let's have restriction measures, you know, like filtering some content to a specific age group. That is a proposal from one of our viewers. Is that possible? Or what do you have in mind as solutions for regulating TikTok?
You know, if you go to Facebook now, yeah, you can't download a video. It's not easy unless you share it, yeah? But TikTok, you can download a video and share it in other platforms, yeah? So that has to be checked on. On TikTok, you can go live and abuse someone for even an hour, yeah? You won't be flagged down. You can even do it even the whole day, abusing someone, yeah? Those are the regulations that we're talking about.
Right.
On the same TikTok, yeah, there is this thing that people talk about that we're earning from TikTok. TikTok is not, actually TikTok, they are getting more revenue from our content creators, yeah, than them giving us. Mike can make money, yeah, through corporates. He can get a corporate like Safaricom to sponsor him and all that. But those who go online at night, that tap, give me a gift and all that, the gifts come from viewers or your followers. It's not TikTok paying you.
Right.
Yeah. So what we need to sit down, yeah, and have a conversation countrywide, yeah, with TikTokers. Since we presented this petition, I've gotten calls, and most of the TikTokers who are creating clean content, yeah, are ready to sit down. We have a conversation, yeah, and we see now we can come up with the regulations.
Right.
And that is what I mentioned, that we need to set up, yeah, a regulation body, like social media,
Right.
yeah, regulation body,
Right.
which should be passed within the National Assembly. The committee that is handling this matter, we are supposed to appear before them, yeah, I think early week of September, yeah, and with that, what we need a conversation, a public participation. They go all around the country, they get views, yeah, come back to Parliament, we pass those laws, yeah,
Right.
then we get a body that will be regulating TikTok.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mr. Bob, you're completely out of time, but I need to get to your closing remarks, Prof. and Mr. Mike. Mike, I'll start with you. What do you tell, your fellow TikTokers, especially the young people, and also on the back of what President Ruto said following the meeting he had with the app CEO, and they're setting up a Kenyan office? Is that good news?
That's definitely good news. That's definitely good news, because I do understand that we are discussing content regulation in regards to TikTok. TikTok is a platform that's very predominant in Kenya. But if we are going to have the same conversation about content regulation, it should cut across all platforms, be it Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. and we should not single out TikTok as the only platform that has explicit content. Because when you go on Facebook, you'll get explicit content. When you go on Twitter especially, you will get the same type of content, and Instagram as well. So I think that this is a conversation that I am glad has come up at this particular time. And I'm so glad. I thank Mr. Bob for sparkling that
conversation.
Yeah, that conversation. And I think that this is a good. It's a good thing, and if the implementation is going to be done, it should cut across all platforms. Yeah.
Prof, your closing remarks, please.
I think for me, we are talking about people who are able to use this system as creators of content. But when we are talking about individuals who are actually getting obsessed and they get hooked to TikTok to a point where they are not doing their work. So it becomes a mental health issue, an addiction, a system that can be abused by children, or children become victims of it, and they are abused through this system. This conversation needs to be preventive in terms of values of this country, values of our churches, from all, because you can see in your list there, you can see most of the Muslim countries are serious about what they want their children to see and what they don't want to see. So from religious values to what I would call psychological effects of this program, and also people who are not responsible in terms of the content that they give out there.
Okay. All right.
So we need to be careful.
Great. Okay, that's a great place to end it. My director keeps telling me we need to wrap up. Thank you so much, Professor Njungui Kenya, a clinical psychologist and theologian. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Bob Ndolo, TikTok petitioner and CEO Bridget Connect Consultancy, and of course, Mr. Mike Mushiri here, TikToker and content creator. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Thank you for all your feedback.